Good afternoon, everybody, and thanks for joining us in this web talk. I'm Claudio Sassanelli, Professor of Environmental Management of Production Systems at Politecnico di Bari. My main research interest is circular economy, also encompassing servitization and digital transformation. And I will be the moderator of this first web talk of the CERES project. CERES is a project co-funded by European Union aimed at supporting circular transition of the production system through circular economy education. CERES stands for Circular Economy Innovation Ecosystems Redesigning Skills. And this is the first of a series of 3 web talks to present the results of the CERES project. The title of the web talk is Training Needs for Circular Economy, Bridging Resilience, Digital and Technical Skills. So this title because we are in the middle of a transition towards circular economy, and it is essential to understand how skills are linked with this trend. Different stakeholders are involved in these transitions, and the teaching industry needs to understand how to interact with each of them. Based on the results of the research that we conducted so far, we argue that these stakeholders should own resilience, digital and technical skills to be able to fully and consciously embrace the circular economy paradigm. Now, I would like to leave the floor to the speakers of today, so Prof. Arne Remmen and Luis Moller-Hase, who kindly accepted our invitation to discuss our results. So, Prof. Arne and Luis, I would like to ask you to introduce yourselves and your experience on the topic. And in your experience within your department, what are the key skills required to thrive in circular economy? And how has the landscape evolved? And what shifts have you observed in the market demands for these skills over time?
Yes, thank you for this, Claudio. Thank you for this introduction. So I'll just start by presenting myself. So my name is Luis Hase, and I'm from Open University, where I'm an associate professor in the Architecture, Design, and Media Technology department. So really, I'm in the resilience skills of your report in terms of my research. So I actually prepared a few slides to actually answer some of your questions. So I hope it's okay that I bring these on to share some of these things today. So perhaps Andrea, you will help me by bringing on my slides. Yes, thank you so much. So well, I think what I see from the research that we're doing right now, I see that companies are in this sort of double challenge. On one side, they are handling the circular challenge, that they have to figure out how to narrow, slow, and close the circle. And on the other side, this challenge of actually coming out with products that are fitting the users and the market and the company is still very much on their mind. And that is also something that I saw in your report, that it has to be very sort of market oriented, the skills that they are asking for. Talking about the development in the projects that we see right now, I would say that one of the changes that I've come to see is that companies are also starting to think more about how to engage with slowing the circular economy, and actually thereby looking at how to use their products longer and figuring out how to sort of prolong that lifetime of their products. And then coming to your questions, Claudio, that you so kindly introduced. So what are the skills required to thrive in the circular economy? Well, I do think that some of the skills that were so institutionalized in the linear economy is something that we have to unlearn, because there is a lot of our skills and activities today that are actually built upon these sort of obsolescence strategies, where we are all too good at actually creating value and adding value to products, and then we are not thinking so much about what happens to them after they're sold, but actually thinking that they should fast decrease in value so that they can make room for new ones. And I think we need to have this sort of push in our skills, especially within design and product development, more towards actually value preservation and preserving the value of the products that we create by extending lifetime and having all of these other skills embedded into our creation of business models and products that are actually more viable and have an extended lifetime. So I think that's in particular what we're looking into in terms of skills right now. I don't know if that fully answered your question, Claudio, or if you want me to go deeper into this. I do have some other slides because we did create a study at some that we've just recently have published, and there we looked into the kind of skills that were identified for former designers and product developers that we now look at as value transformers. What kind of skills should they have? We also think that there's a lot of skills that our former consumers, we now call them value cooperators, should have. And similarly, we look at what are the skills that the companies should have. We call them not companies anymore, but value gatekeepers, because I really think that that's what they are, and also for policymakers. But maybe we can come into that later on. This was just a short introduction. I don't know if I can remove my slides, but thank you.
Please, Professor Arne.
Yeah, good afternoon. My name is Arne Rimmen. I'm a professor at Department of it used to say development, now is sustainability and planning, because the whole department, and we are more than 200 people, researchers, have taken up the sustainability challenge. So I have around 35 years of experience within this field. I did my PhD on technology assessment back in the 80s, and it was around the time of the Brundtland report, and since then I have been working with, the focus has changed a bit over time, from a very focus on the factory and all the environmental problems related to production, the very visible problems, or to eco-design and focus on the products, where you need a much broader competence, and you need to engage all different departments in the company. And then towards now circular economy, where you also need to collaborate across different value chains. And as Louise highlighted, I think it's much more focused today on the business model and on the slowing strategies, and not just on what we traditionally have been doing related to narrowing the resource flows and also related to closing the loop. So regenerate and slowing and digitalization are much more important strategies today than before. So it's how I see the landscape has evolved over the years, and the key skills are also, of course, changing with this. I think it's much more obvious. In the old days back, you had competence related to enter pipe solutions to deal with smoke and noise and so on, while today you need this much more interdisciplinary competences and the soft skills. I think we at our university, I will say, have been a bit in the forefront in the sense of having focus on what we call problem-based learning. That has becoming very common, and the benefit is that the students become very good at what I think you call it the soft skills, that the need for interpersonal collaboration and so on, and all the problem formulation, and they learn to ask the right questions, you could say, and not just do the problem solving. It has always been a very nice. I have a social science background, but has been at the Faculty of Engineering and Science. Now we have changed name, but I still call it the old one, where there's much more focus, you could say, on these skills than back in time. So if I should keep it short, I'll be my intro.
Okay. Thanks to our speakers for their answers. They more or less anticipated some key concepts of our talk of today. Andrea, can we move to the slides, please? Okay. So going back to what we were discussing before, a recent publication by on Science recently unveiled that 6 of 9 planetary boundaries were exceeded. And these suggest that Earth is now well outside to the safe operating space for humanity. Considering that these planetary boundaries are strongly affected by anthropogenic action. And the main solution to cope with this human action is considered the circular economy. Circular economy that nowadays is applied both inside and outside manufacturing, and that today it has been proven that is accelerated by Industry 4.0 technologies and paradigms, business model like digital servitization. So Industry 4.0 driven capabilities, skills, and competencies need to be enhanced to foster the application and adoption of circular economy at the beginning inside the companies, then through the extended supply chain up to the entire society. So this need is a need of a new set of knowledge and best cases that to reach sustainable development could mainly leverage on 2 main levels of education that are higher education and vocational educational and training. A recent news from the World Economic Forum declared also in February 2024 that green job vacancies are on the rise, and this is also flanked by a shortage of workers with green skills. So LinkedIn told us that, states here that job postings outpaced workers with the right skill set, and that green skills are workers with green skills are more likely to be hired and prove to be more resilient. So from all these considerations, there is a urgent need to focus on reskilling, and this is what, of course, is done by organizations like the World Economic Forum, and this is also the aim of the CERES project, that wants, first of all, to develop updated higher education and vocational education training curricula, and then to build a circular economy digital innovation hub. So today we will show you a part of the results that we obtained in the first activity that you find in the top left of this picture, and in which we assessed the gap between market needs and existing circular economy curriculum offer. And these results are already being exploited to develop this curricula implement them and certify them. All these curricula will constitute services, assets of the new Circular Economy Digital Innovation Hub, together with other services, other assets, other knowledge. We will organize MOOCs, hackathons, and events like the Webtalk today, all driven by the aim of enhancing the skills related to circular economy. This project is delivered by a consortium that is led by Politecnico di Milano and is composed by 4 universities, 2 associations, 2 companies, 1 certification center, and 1 VET provider. Altogether, they are aiming at building this circular economy digital innovation hub, that is an innovation ecosystem that, first of all, wants to extend the set of services that are traditionally provided by DIH, so Digital Innovation Hub, but also to exploit the existing organization, the existing DIHs with their networks and platform, to showcase the new assets that are being developed. With this aim, CERES Hub wants to contaminate in the long term also the open calls dynamic of DIHs that usually are launched by DIHs and still miss the circular economy perspective. And the hub wants to mainly trigger an effective loop between the skill requirements and the skill availability in the era of sustainable transition. This can be done driving the collaboration among academics and practitioners and cross-fertilizing the technological domain with circular economy, but mainly providing practical evidence to skills that need to be adopted in the circular economy, starting from key industries, the main industry, most impacting industries, such as e-waste, automotive, and textile. How to get involved in this hub, in this project? As you may already know, because you are taking part to this web talk, you can visit our website, so circularceres.net. And then there you can find our reports, our analyses, in the future our courses. You can sign up to the CERES newsletter to receive the latest news and events. You can, in the near future, take part to the circular economy training activities, so to the MOOCs, to the hackathons, to the courses, to the curricula that we are developing. But you can also in the future enter in the CERES community to join this circular hub that we are going to launch. Today, among all these possibilities of joining our network, you can download the first report of our project, that is the report on circular economy market labor educational needs, and provides also a set of recommendations towards VET and HE sector. What you can find in this report? You can find the results from multiple activities with multiple research approaches. The first is the systematic literature review that was conducted to identify competencies and skills enabling the circular economy adoption in manufacturing. We also performed a market analysis online to map the formative and training opportunities available already on the market in the circular economy educational scenario. But you can also find important information related to the empirical side of the needs related to circular economy. So we performed online survey to identify the empirical needs that are associated with the required professional roles to address the circular economy transition, and also those coming from face-to-face online interviews that were conducted to detect the skills and the job profiles more required in this transition, together with experts coming from e-waste, textile, and automotive sectors. All these activities with their results converge in the gap analysis that indeed has the aim to identify the gaps existing between the current formative offer, so the results from the market analysis, and the theoretical and empirical needs, so the results of the systematic literature review and the surveys, the interviews. Today, we are going to present only the results of the systematic literature review that you have at the left of this slide, and that started identifying a set of keywords that were related with education, so teaching, education, courses, curricula, skills, competencies, capabilities, training, combined with the word of circular economy and the domain of manufacturing. Through these keywords, we were able to obtain a set of results that we analyzed, and we were able to exclude all those documents that were not addressing skills, capabilities, and competencies for circular economy. At the end, we selected 58 research contributions that we, first of all, analyzed with a descriptive analysis through a wide set of drivers. Here you have two examples. The one with the distribution of papers over time, where you can see that 2021 is the most populated one, maybe because of the major need of digital tools and digitalization in education due to the COVID-19. And then on the right, the educational levels addressed by these papers, where VET is the most addressed, maybe because it needs more specialization depending on the industry, and here also the design topic were highlighted because of the need for practice to adopt effectively circular economy. On the right, you can also see that primary school and secondary schools are quite neglected by these papers. What we were able to define after the overall analysis with the content analysis, we performed a code analysis. So starting from the codes, we were able to identify 40 skills and to define 3 main categories. The first, resilience skills, that is divided in 2 subcategories, cross-cutting skills and soft skills. The second, digital technology skills, divided in technology innovation in the circular economy and digital transformation of businesses. And the third one, specialized and technical skills, that goes more deeper in more specialized, specific competencies needed to address circular economy. It is also interesting to take a look at the numbers, so how much skills were mentioned in these papers, and we can see on the left that resilience, cross-cutting skills are the most addressed, the most addressed ones, while on the right we can see that as a confirmation that circular product design skill that is a circular life cycle management related to specialized and technical skills is at the lower, so at the bottom level, the most addressed. But let's go deeper on each of these categories of skills, starting with resilience. So resilience skills are those needed to support the restructuring of current socio-technical regimes towards more resilient production systems. We cannot go into the detail for sake of brevity in this web talk, but we can see that they are divided in cross-cutting skills that refer to abilities applicable across different domains and contexts within and across organization to implement circular practices, and soft skills that refer to interpersonal social skills, including behaviors, attitudes that are aligned with the harmonious work environment for the circular transition. We can try to better understand what they are, looking at some examples. So the most cited resilience skills is a cross-cutting skills, and in particular is a design, circular business model, and circular supply chain. And this skill requires innovation that should be pursued through business transformation, through the ability of understanding how to define and to propose new value, considering not only economical aspects, but also social and environmental ones. The second resilience skill, so the most cited by academics, was effective communication. In this case, was a soft one. This effective communication can be visual, so through the use of CAD sketching, modeling, and presentation skills, but also verbal. So people should be able to own storytelling abilities and exchange ideas and opinions. The less cited among the resilience skill is design and implementation of training programs. That is exactly what is related with this project. So we are aiming at reinforcing, at enhancing this kind of skill that is quite important to retain employees, to engage them in their activities, and to ensure their upskilling in their daily activities. Moving to digital technology skills, we can define them as those needed to understand, use, and interact effectively with emerging digital technologies for a circular economy. In particular, they are split in digital transformation of businesses, so all those that refers to skills associated with analysis and proposition of digital solution, also from a business perspective, and all those that are named technology innovation, the circular economy skills, that instead refer to skill to adopt digital technology, so to employ them in processes and organization, and to improve operations and organizational processes in the companies and the organizations. Going on with some examples, Industry 4.0 technologies application was in this case the most cited one, and it is of course a technology innovation in the circular economy, and it's aimed to understand how to use cyber physical systems, machine learning, IoT, cloud technologies, artificial intelligence. On the other side, we have, in the second position, design digital services and product service systems. So it is not only important to understand how to use technologies, but also to know how to propose them, how to design them. So the service that people should know how to design services, how to design service-based products, and how to have in their organization a service orientation and integrate the product side with the service one. Another example of technology innovation in the circular economy is robotics and automation. That is the less cited, but is gaining momentum, let's say, in the circular economy domain, because it's a way to foster the human-machine collaboration and to exploit robots operations to support activities like, for example, disassembly that are strictly needed to trigger circular economy mechanisms in the supply chains in the circular supply chains. The last macro category is related to specialized and technical skills that is composed by skills in certain areas of knowledge that are essential for the implementation of a circular economy model. In this case, we have three subcategories. The first, circular life cycle management skills, that refers to skills that improve aspects of circularity at different stages of the product life cycle, as well as skills that allow participants to assess circularity and environmental impact. The second one, clean tech and advanced material skills, is related to skills related to the effective and efficient employment of technology in, let's say, auxiliary processes, and to process the recovered materials, also including the energy recovery of the waste. So all of these to trigger circular economy practices fostering sustainability dynamics. And of course, last one is waste management skills that wants to foster the closed loop, so the take back all these dynamics that are needed at the end of life, and start with the waste collection and recovery, but also ends up with the resource utilization. Some examples in this case are, for circular recycle management, circular product design skills that we mentioned is the most important, the most addressed, because 80% of the environmental impact comes from this phase, from the design. And so people should know how to design, how to create, to build systems, products that are long-lasting, how with suitable approaches, with design for X approaches that could, for example, support to address specific abilities, in this case, for example, disassembly or durability, or also should know which are the recycled materials that could be suitable for a specific product or a specific use of the system, of the product. An example of waste management is resource utilization skills that asks workers to know how to reuse materials, how to prioritize regenerative resources, how to implement resource efficiency. And one example of clean tech and advanced materials that we said is more related to auxiliary processes in the companies, can be mastered in quality and safety. So people should know how to be consistent with the regulation, how to perform quality control analysis, how to apply quality and control principles, how to manage hazardous and non-hazardous products. So with this set of skills, I would pass with a question to our speakers. And I would say that the results of the report come from the collective effort of different actors, coming from different sectors, private, social, and educational. So the report is aimed at being as comprehensive as possible. Having consulted the report and heard from this presentation, how do these findings resonate with your own experiences and observation in the realm of circular economy skills? Thanks, Louise and Arne. Please, the floor is yours.
Arne, maybe you should start this time.
Should I? Okay. Well, I think it resonated very well, but of course I also have critical comments. That's the way academia is. No, I think you it's so nice to see all the things you have developed, and I think also it's great to see that you have combined this focus on circular economy and digitalization, because it's a really important topic to bring together. But I think it's perhaps when you do this type of literature review, you don't find the problems in between the different type of skills, and I will highlight a couple. I think we have experienced both in Denmark and other countries in the EU that there is a kind of somehow contradiction between if you focus on what you call circular life cycle management skills, or you focus on waste management. Someone has said back in time, you can't make circular economy from the bottom of a waste bin. And I mean, if you have too much focus on the waste issues, you miss the preventive sides. And for example, when you write e-waste, it's a huge problem, but the way to deal with it, it's not to find fancy robots. Apple have done that many years ago, but they are probably not dismantling not even a percentage of the mobile phones they are producing. So we need to address it. Now Louise will be happy from the designs part. We need to address it already in the design phase, so we make it easy to disassemble, we make it easy to repair and prolong the lifetime of the product. So it's kind of crucial to see also how the different papers deal with these type of, I will even call it contradictions, there are in different areas. You could say also this with digitalization is a huge possibility potential as I see it, but at the same time, it also demands a huge amount of energy. So we need to address the energy issues with what's going up in the cloud and what is happening in these areas. So I think it becomes perhaps a bit too without conflicts, without where the problems are. So I think that could be an issue to address. And then I think you should be aware, being in the field for long, it's not like this with the competencies and skills are my main research area, but I have back in time also worked with education for sustainable development. And I think there's a kind of a lot of knowledge from that type of papers that is a bit missing. As I have understood that they have for long highlighted that there should be a focus on this system thinking. Back in time, in the 80s and 90s, we could focus on the solution. But now with both circular economy and digitalization, we need really the systems thinking and understand the different interactions between different value chains. We need the more, and a second one they are highlighting is the more anticipatory and future thinking is important. There's discussion of climate depression now in Denmark. I think we need to bring in this focus on the anticipatory and how we can deal with the issues. The third one that is highlighted is the value aspects. I think it's also from a value perspective, I think there's much more environmental benefits and much more economic benefits to focus on the inner circle instead of focus on recycle. And that's a hard fight, I would say, because there are big companies and big sectors that are dealing with the recycling, whatever type of material it is. And then we need also to have focus on this more strategic thinking, not just the operational. And finally, as I already mentioned, I think it's what you call the soft skills with the interpersonal collaboration. One of my favorite books on circular economy have the subtitle "Circulate and Collaborate," and I think that is kind of crucial that we have a lot of focus on the collaboration side of this, because it's not just collaboration in the value chain that is need to be strengthened. It's also collaboration between companies from different type of sectors. And then again, I think some of this is really important. It's not just taught in courses or classes. You need to learn by doing, you could say, or you need to do a real research project as students in order to get this. And again, what we call problem-based learning, they also work in teams and do a small research project every, not that small, but do a research project every semester. And I think, in my experience, this is where they really learn these type of competences, I will call it. So, thank you for the excellent work. But there are more to do, and at least raise a couple of areas where perhaps it can be reflected a bit more. Yeah.
Yes, I will take over then, Arne. Thank you very much, Claudio. I must say that when I read the list, it definitely resonated with my experience. In particular, this whole notion that even within companies and also between companies, a lot of different skills have to come together in order to make the circular change or the circular transition. And for that to work, you need the soft skills. So I actually think that you are highlighting something that most of us are experiencing in our projects. I was a little bit, what I think is in the projects that I see right now is this sort of open innovation where you have different companies coming together. And I think that could maybe add to that, because I think that's, even making it more difficult, because then you have different business models that are circular, but that can hinder each other, or that can engage or help each other, but it all depends on how that they are set up. So I think that's something that you've already brung into life, and I think could be sort of more unfolded. Also, of course, coming from a design background, I'm really happy to see that finally we have a voice in the world. But then I have to say that what I also started to say was this whole part about the paradigm, that if you continue with the paradigm that you were within recently with the linear economy, well, then it doesn't really get anything going. And I think that goes for businesses as well. That is what you pointed to as well, Anne. It's so easy for them to stay on the linear economy and all the past behaviors and business as usual, and then just focus on the waste management or closing of the circular economy in the end, and it doesn't really change anything. It doesn't change their business model, it doesn't change their behavior essentially. And I think coming into actually changing the paradigm, I think just personally for me to think of not having to create any more products, but actually having to think of how do I keep them alive, and if I am creating products, how do I ensure that they will have a long life. These are discussions that and mindsets and paradigms that are quite different from what we used to. So I think there's something there that we definitely need to upskill as well. And it takes a lot to change our paradigms and our methodological approaches. There was one thing that I wondered when I looked into your research, and that's sort of the whole role of IoT and AI, where that is to find in here, because I find that for companies, this is a lot on their minds right now, that they actually have quite a lot of IoT working already, and they have a lot of data. but actually how to translate that data into something that can be useful in terms of supporting all the R strategies, the remanufacturing, the repair, all of these things. How do we engage that that data set or that those systems that we already have to actually support these things? I think that's at least something that I would suspect coming up as skills that would be asked for. But then, I think you've already done a magnificent jobs in actually putting out these skills. So these maybe just add-ons.
Thanks, Luis, and thanks for raising this question about data. Actually, we wanted time to discuss about that, but a recent research from Politecnico di Milano and Politecnico di Bari, in which I was involved with some of the other researchers involved in CERES, we defined which are the data, the information that are needed to actually embrace circular economy. So it's not enough to have IoT, let's say, devices, so the technology deployed, but people, so workers and companies should know which are the data they need along the life cycle and depending on the circular strategies that they want to address. And we also developed a maturity model to understand if these companies were able to manage this data, this information. That is the first step to then exploit technologies. And so exploit all these IoT and AI that they can, let's say, in an easier way have available in their organization. The problem is to understand how to use them. But let's go on because we are already late. And let's move back to our presentation. So Andrea, please, if we can come back. Okay. So once we know which are the main skills, for needed for the twin transition, it is also interesting, and we investigated this in the literature review, which are the teaching methods. And here I link with what Professor Arne was saying before, which are the teaching methods that are needed for addressing circular economy. Starting from the fact that in average today, literature told us that whole education courses are lasting 2 to 5 months, and that usually they are integrated as part of existing courses. There is a research that is developing, is conceptualizing a 3-year curriculum for sustainability skills. The market analysis told us that more or less 30 hours are needed for a circular economy course that is usually split in 6 modules. But let's go to the teaching methods. Teaching methods that are the most used, the most adopted, the most cited in literature are the case analysis, problem-based learning, project-based learning, so group work, cross-disciplinary projects and teams. All these approaches comes from the ground. So as Professor Arne was highlighting, this is the main method that should be adopted today to raise the awareness of students. Then, of course, we have the methods in more traditional, so lectures, guest lectures, flipped session, also field visit. We have more practical oriented if we think about technologies, so experimentation, rapid prototyping, small exercises and simulations. And finally, we have also self-learning, do-it-yourself, practical application, up to gamification, so serious game that could contribute to put students in a situation of learning with hands what they are doing. But we can also understand that each of these methods, approaches, can be used in a different way depending on the type of skills. Sorry, but in the entire presentation, I had animation to allow you to follow in an easier way what I'm showing you, but the platform doesn't allow this. So we start with resilient skills, and first of all, we have to say that for all the categories of skills, the case learning is so the problem-based learning is the most adopted one. Then for resilience ones, the traditional approaches are still quite important. So lectures and field visit are quite used. Then if we move to digital technologies, for sure, for the use of technology in circular economy, there is experimentation, rapid prototyping. Let's think about 3D printing. And moving to specialized and technical category, we can also find both the traditional learning, so lectures and flipped classrooms, but also for skills like waste management, it is important self-learning and do it yourself. About technological support for training delivery. So which are the technologies that allow students to understand, to know, to learn about circular economy? There is a first category of tools that is the one related to software and tools supporting analysis in product design phase. So it is important to design solution from the early stage of the life cycle and allow them to be as much as possible circular from the beginning. So all those software that support energy calculation, redesign in disassemblability processes, LCA, simulation, monitoring, definition and monitoring of indicators for carbon emission, material circularity. Then we have all those equipment enabling materials production, tests, and evaluations. So sensors, data loggers, laboratory, machinery, equipments. Then at the end, we have the real means to teach. So the e-learning tools, blogs, communication platforms, internet, MOOCs, so massive open online courses, and also tools supporting these MOOCs, computer vision algorithms. Finally, learning and teaching evaluation. So how these courses could be assessed, both from a learning perspective and a teaching perspective. From the learning side, various methods also combined can be used. For example, for validating theoretical knowledge, multiple choice tests, pre and post workshop questionnaires, individual final exams are typical methods. Then for practical or applicative side of learning, we can find from one perspective all those reports, posters, students presentations that students are called to prepare for a project, for an assignment, for an exercise, and also cross-disciplinary projects. So if we have more topics, a unique project could be exploited to evaluate the learning of students. From the other side, we have an interesting set of methods that wants to support students in reflecting in their learning. So sharing and comparison of sessions, observation of the emotional reactions. This was done in the primary school level. It is quite interesting when we talk about circular economy and sustainability. On the other side, if you want to assess the teaching, the quality of the teaching, We can use feedback forms with Likert scales from 1 to 5 to evaluate the prior level of preparedness of the students, the amount and the type of learning, the willingness of the students to continue with circular economy concept, so basically their level of interest. But also we can use the actual outcome coming from the course, so the impacts and the results that were obtained. For example, the disassembly time of target components that were evaluated and studied during the project, but also expert evaluation of the design results. So, based on this last part of my presentation, before concluding, I would like to ask that to our speaker, in light of the urgent need for transitioning towards circular economy practices and the demand for new knowledge in this area, could you provide real examples of practices and experiences within your department? Specifically, how is education equipping itself with tools and training methods to meet these demands? What technical and methodological challenges are encountered in delivering this knowledge? And what specific tools is education applying to contribute to this training? I think that more or less some of these questions have already been addressed, but please, Arne and Luis, the floor is yours for this last time.
So, Luis, this time yours, or?
I'm on. Okay. So thank you. Yeah, I think that we can say anything, but have to admit that we are biased. So I'm a problem-based university, so I would say that most of our experience would be there. But then I would add something that I think is very important. I think in most learning, and that's the variation. I think we talk far too little about how to make a variant proposal to students at different levels, because you learn in different ways, you learn in different speeds, and there it can be very good with different types of variations. Also, in particular, when we look at the young children that are coming into school, their span of conscious and actually paying attention is not that wide. So if we put in more variation, we are actually catering, I think, for a better learning experience for most of them. And then I think there's something that is so important here when we talk about sort of more adult learning, that every time we have people with practical experience coming into the room, they are bringing in a case or a few of them of their own. And I think much of the time we are not too good at actually bringing that into play. There is a lot of co-learning happening amongst students, especially when we're talking adult learning or continued learning, and there I think we could definitely spray something. So I don't think that we have much more experience beside with the problem-based learning. That's where we are strongest, but I think there are some options there.
And just to add, I think there is a difference between case-based learning, where it's the teacher coming with a case, and then what we call project-based learning or problem-based learning, because it's somehow the students who define and choose on the so it's to a high degree self-directed, you could say, and it. So the question of motivation. After teaching for 44 years, I've never raised this when I'm doing the supervision of the students, because they are engaged. They have chosen themselves and so on. Of course, there can be conflict and they split up and so on, but normally the motivation is there. And then I would say, when I see your very nice overview of all the different teaching methods, I think, even though we are biased, as Luis said, with the problem-based learning, we to some extent apply a lot of the other things also as additions. But the very important part is that the students work with a real problem in the real world in collaboration with enterprises and so on. And I will highlight one aspect coming from a planning department, because In the old days, all our students, they went to the municipality and the public sector. Now it's only a minor part. And in that change, you can see that so many others are also engaged, but you are somehow forgetting a bit the skills related to what we call enforcement and regulation and so on. And it's not like it was something we did with the factory back 30 years ago. It's now much more based on the products. There's just passed 2 weeks ago the eco-design sustainable product regulation. So it's a very strict one, and they highlight durability, repairability, and so on. And we need to educate students that are able also to monitor that the products are fulfilling these requirements in the future. So I think we need to somehow, when we talk about collaboration, also to understand we have a public sector and we have NGO sector that are in some of these areas very crucial players, and you can't do circular economy without collaborating between the different parts, sectors in society. So that could perhaps be a further add-on to your. Don't forget these skills related to the enforcement of all the regulation coming up. Somebody is calling a tsunami of regulations from the EU at the moment, but I think I look at. I'm not a surfer, but I knew some very good friends that are surfer, and they see a big wave as a lot of energy and a lot of fun. So I think we should teach the different partners that this tsunami of regulations is a way to push for a new direction from the linear towards the circular, and using digitalization as important means in this direction. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks. Very interesting argumentations. Andrea, let's go back to our slide for the last time to discuss, wrap up. Okay. So yeah, we cannot standardize the regulation. We cannot freeze this tsunami, let's say, but we can wrap up saying that at least from a theoretical perspective, we detected and systematized a set of 40 skills that are required for the twin transition. That among them, resilient skills are useful to adapting industrial systems to the changes that can be technological, economic, environmental, and also regulations. That these resilient skills are strictly related to digital technology skills, because digital technologies enable the exploitation of digital transformation to create new value delivery, to support the decision-making process, but also collaboration and automation. And finally, we can highlight that technical and specialized skills highlight the need to integrate eco-design with engineering and more technical knowledge. Also, from a contribution to practice perspective, we can say that these results, together also with those coming from the market analysis and the survey and the interviews that we did not present today, will be able to help support industrials to understand which are the skills and the training needed to upskill professionals in the manufacturing sectors, and how and they could be directed in understanding how to search for new ways of training, so to understand which kind of methods they could select for training their employees. From the other side, educators in circular economy could be helped in establishing educational courses and programs that are tailored and aligned with market demands, with the twin transition. And also from a policy implication perspective, we also think that these results could trigger a standardization of skills. So also in this case, we can not act on regulation, but we can try to define, to structure, to operationalize and systematize these kind of skills. So to try to achieve a sort of standard of the needed skills for a circular economy and digital transition, to help also governments to provide mechanisms to promote different types of skills. So those as those suggested by Professor Arne related to collaborations, but also those complementary, the complementary professional training programs. All in addition, basic educational formation is needed. So also primary and secondary schools need to be involved in this education stream. And governments should support the society with new opportunity for digital inclusion of individuals, but also for enhancing skills related to automation, robotics, and programming. So just to conclude our discussion of today, I know we are very late, sorry for that, for taking your time. We can say that future professionals need to develop skills that are multisystemic, so not only technical, but also interpersonal, also digital driven. They need to be continuously educated because of the multifaceted labor market, and they need to be highly qualified. The fact that there could be a lack of this set of skills may evolve into barriers, so could hinder a successful transition towards circular economy and digitalization. And for this reason, we need active teaching and learning approaches, as our speaker were arguing before, that could promote multidisciplinarity, but also system thinking and critical perspective of real cases. So, thanks to all of you for your attention, and thanks to our speaker for the insightful and dense discussion that we had today. And don't forget to register to our project, so to the circularceres.net, and to eventually download our report to go deeper in our analysis and explore more the results of the other activities. For sure, if you want, you can contact us also by email to get more clarification. And so thanks again, have a nice evening, and we will keep you updated with the next results of the CERES project. Bye. Thanks, Luis. Thanks, Arne.
Hello.